This is like, you know what I've seen a lot of over this Christmas?
What?
Disarming round. I saw it at your house last night.
Yeah.
I saw it while we were doing I heard it while we were doing the Christmas tree.
Right.
I saw it over on, when we were at our friend Oki and Matt's house. We always end up watching lots of, for Fake Christmas, we always end up watching lots of, those top 50 Christmas songs. You finish one and then you go straight to the next one.
List shows?
List shows.
Yeah. They were popular in the late 90s, early 90s.
Yeah, apparently some of the channels are still knocking them out.
Right.
But one of the things I seem to have seen a lot of, Mel Smith and Kim Wilde.
Oh, the Christmas thing they did.
Mel and Kim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Rocking Around the Christmas Tree?
Yeah, Rocking Around the Christmas Tree.
Where he's doing, and it starts. I don't know if you remember how it starts.
No, yeah, I saw it in the 80s a long time ago.
Right.
What's happened since then, mate?
But I mean, I don't know if you remember how most things with Mel Smith start. With when he's with his friend Grief Reese.
Grief Reese, which is a bit like what we're doing now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Is I've been watching a lot of that, and that video.
Yeah.
It starts with two blokes kind of looking quite close to each other, looking across the thing.
It's making me nervous, you know.
Talking.
I'm very tired. I had a very late emotional evening last night. I can't handle this.
Well, no, it's what the delivery
Proximity.
method. Well,
it's freaking me out a little bit.
Because we're normally across a giant table.
It wouldn't take much for us to lean forward and we'd be kissing. And I'm not sure.
I'm not your type.
You're not my type. I think I'm coming down with a cold Scarlet Scott.
You're not.
I'm just feeling a bit vague and listless.
You're not effeminate enough for me.
Oh, good.
It's a bit weird. I think what we eventually established at the end of last week's show is that I like. I've got a soft, hard. So I've got a spot.
Yeah.
For boyish women.
Yeah.
And feminine men.
What we couldn't get you to do last week was pin you down to an actual name or example.
Of a person.
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe like Tilda Swinton. I
do like a Tilda Swinton, but she's a bit like having my cake and eating it.
And what about a Jude Law?
No.
No.
It's very difficult to think of.
What's that? Brian Moloko from.
No, I hated him.
Placebo.
I don't like men who go on about being asexual all the time. So it's like you're not doing it. You're just telling me it over and over again.
Well, maybe he needs to. His music was just released, mate. You know.
I saw him live. I saw Placebo live. I did not like them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They were like a placebo for an actual live experience.
It's very funny. You've used their name and you've kind of messed it about. I can't even look in your eye today. I'm finding it. I've gone a little autistic.
We are. This is Two Grown Men. You know this already, James. The listener might have accidentally stumbled upon this episode.
I switched off when he did this.
At some point in the distant future, where somehow magically all data has been... Basically, there's going to be, in the next 50 to 100 years, people are going to realise, shit, all this stuff on the internet is going to be gone when we've no longer got technology to read it. And literally everything on the internet, including all of the audio... there's going to be a gigantic project to transcribe all of it onto. So, luckily, we'll have found a planet that's got lots of. It's just a complete forest planet, like the moon of Endor.
Or stone. You could do it on stone.
Or stone,
more permanent, isn't it?
That's true. And so, someone will be etching all of that stuff, but then all of the audio will be stuck onto like a slightly more permanent version of vinyl, where there's actually a physical.
Like on Voyager.
Yeah. I don't.
There's
you mean the ship, right?
There's a record on
Not
Voyager.
the TV programme.
No, not the TV programme. There's a record, isn't there, of cuts from the 70s.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? One of the most advanced pieces of technology we've created. The only thing that's man-made that's ever left our solar system, and it's got a piece of technology attached to it that most of us laugh at and hipsters revere. That's very strange. Who would have thought when it was launched that records would only be coveted by people with big beards and side partings, and older geeks. I like a record. Sound engineers. Paul McCartney was saying on the radio the other day, the sound engineers that he talks to always say that their preferred format is vinyl.
Still vinyl.
Still vinyl.
Because hopefully Amy and I will be moving again soon. The conversation always comes up about how much vinyl, how many records we have to move, because they're all in, but they haven't come out of boxes.
Nick, I've got a joke for you.
What?
How do you know someone's about to move house? Don't worry, they'll tell you.
How do you know if someone has issues with Russell Brand?
Don't worry, Nick will tell you. That's your one and only mention. We'll add another mention of him today.
Okay, I won't. I will not. That will not happen. So, I guess, and one of the things that they'll do is, because we'll find this planet, and they'll just be like, I know we're running out of trees on this planet, maybe it'll be a moon, I don't know.
Are you sure? Are you sure we're running out of trees?
I think so.
Where's your data?
People keep going on about
Fine, that's
on the internet. So
multiple sources. So
multiple sources. So we're running out of trees, but we'll find this planet and it'll just be covered in trees, and it'll be like, do-over. We can use as many of these as we want. We can, if we need to, we can clear cut this whole damn planet, because that's our second chance. It's brilliant. So what you find is, because recently, you mentioned hipsters.
Yeah.
Most people will favour a slightly more compact and permanent version of audio, like the records. But the actual real hipsters are taking part in this project, because recently they've worked out that you can, using variation on record player technology, you can take a slab of a tree.
Nice.
Like a slice of a tree, circular light across the middle of it, and play the rings.
Organic records.
And people say, oh, it makes beautiful music.
Yeah.
I mean, those people are lying. It's a dirge. It sounds like Sigur Rós if Sigur Rós was really hard to listen to.
It's good. It has a really deep timbre.
Ha ha! Timber. You just swap round the, because the word sounds the same, but you swap round the R and the E.
That's what I did there. It's a pun.
So the real hipsters who are taking part in that project, because it'll mean something different there. It'll be the normal people will want records, because that's a more permanent thing than a CD or something. But the hipsters will be like, let's carve it into a tree, and it'll be like part of nature.
Yeah. Artisanal wooden records.
Yeah. So you might be listening to this on a piece of wood.
Artisanal wood record.
Artisanal wood record. If you come across it by accident, and if that is the case, I should mention that we are two grown men. This is the thing that two men were doing in 2014.
Very late 2014.
Very late 2014. In an effort to really occupy themselves. The lie.
I like doing this because it stops the voices in my head that scream about my doom to me all the time.
Yeah.
Just for an hour, just stay quieting down a little bit.
The irony is that I talk to you about your doom quite a lot as well, don't I?
You did. You told me not to go near water just after I got out of bath. That was no help.
Yeah, the prediction isn't...
9 magpies, Nick.
Yeah, that's weird.
9 magpies in my back garden.
Earlier on.
Nicola said, what do you think's bringing them here? And I suggested it was the worms living in the dog shit that's almost certainly somewhere in the garden.
Maybe.
Winter, very hard to clear up dog shit.
Yeah.
So
it's, how does it go? It's 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy. See, I went... No, that's deep diving. That's not fair on the people who aren't here. I actually went out with a girl called Joy. So that number 2
I know that
has some connotations for me. So 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl. She was a girl. 4 for a boy. She wasn't a boy.
She liked boys though.
5 for love.
Okay.
6 for marriage.
Right.
7 for something baby carriage, which you'd have thought would have been taken account of with the girl and the boy. So that's 7. You're talking about 9.
We've got to get married
2
first.
2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy. 5 for love, 6 for marriage. 7 for something baby carriage. 8 8 for the first wave of pets. So that would be like guinea pigs and stuff like that.
No, I think that'd be the first wave of regret that you once the initial lust has died down, there's no actual love, and you don't actually like each other even.
And you've got to stay together for at least 18 years because there's a baby in the house.
8 for ennui.
Ennui. 9 for affair?
Yeah, an affair, yeah, absolutely.
9 for affair or 9 for DIVOR?
No, 9 for an affair, 10 for regret and recrimination, 11 for divorce.
Right, so 9 is affair.
Right.
Right, okay.
Okay. I don't really want to have an affair.
It might not be you who's having the affair.
Oh, man.
I mean, it might not. It might be. I mean, your garden is overlooked by the upstairs neighbour.
Parts of it.
Yeah, and the arguably people your garden backs on. It's on. They might not. Those birds might just have been over from someone else's garden.
No, it's fair enough. It's at least a dozen people those birds could have been there for. It's just that when they converged in my garden, they counted the dog shit and worms.
Yeah, so you might have been a stopover.
Yeah, it might have been.
Alternatively, they might have been on their way to the common, where they were going to infect a whole common's worth of, like, a whole field of people walking their dogs.
Right.
If that's the destination for those magpies, when they arrive there, every single one of those people has to have an affair.
So when you go home later, the orgy will just be common?
Yeah, the common will just be an orgy.
That's what it says.
Although having said that, I've heard rumours that Cemetery Road, the common is a park in Southampton. In some ways, it's the reason a lot of people stay in Southampton. I think because it's nice. We've got nice parks in Southampton.
Cemetery Road is exactly what you were just about to suggest happens on Cemetery Road. I've seen people leaving bushes, several of them all at once, looking quite shifty.
It used to.
And it's funny if you go dog walking and park up down Cemetery Road during the day. I say to Nicola, let's just sit here and see if someone starts masturbating over our windscreen.
It used to be famous for al fresco cottaging.
Yeah.
But now, with everyone has become much more progressive.
Yeah.
People have started. No, we've still got a way to go, but people have started to accept homosexuality. People are more tolerant of it, and other people have been like, well, hang on, why do only gay people get to have sex with complete strangers in public?
Yeah.
So I think there is famously dogging down there. So when I first got to Southampton, there was cottaging. We didn't have dogging back then.
First place you went?
No.
Okay.
I found out about it later. I was not aware of the common until the Jewish graves got desecrated, which I think was the second year I was here.
Bloody hell.
This weird thing happens, and this might not just be relevant to Southampton. I'm hoping this will be relevant to other listeners as well, other than the 2 or 3 who live in Southampton. Or the 2 that are on it. That's you and me.
You, me and Nicola, my wife.
Yeah. But when you go to a city, when you move to a city for a very specific reason, rather than growing up there for your entire life, or even maybe a little bit then as well, and I'm using university as an example, you tend to mainly know, certainly for the first few years that you're there, you can be quite insular.
Yeah.
So you'll know the area immediately around where you're staying.
Yeah.
You'll maybe know where the nearest convenience store is.
Certainly.
And maybe where the nearest pub is. And you'll know from there to where you study, or whatever it is you're in that town for. And maybe you'll know the route between there and town, unless you're far enough out that you have to catch a bus. In which case you really won't know any of the roads between your house and the city centre. You'll just literally know the little area around where you live. And people get very, especially if you don't think you're going to be in a town for very long, if you're only going to be there for a few years.
You hope.
Yeah. And so, and normally when you start moving, unless you're particularly upwardly mobile or downwardly mobile, you'll tend to stick. Unless you can make a real leap to a completely different sort of place, you'll normally move around roughly the same area of where, the same set of streets. And I lived in an area called St Mary's in Southampton for a very long time, for the first 7 years I was here, in and around it. And I knew that bit, and it's very near to where I went to university, which is where we're recording now. And most of the clubs and pubs were very near here as well, where I went to.
Yes.
And so I really only knew the city centre and the area around where I lived, and we'd go and visit people in Bitton for house parties.
That's a different part of Southampton.
Different part of Southampton. Or
it's also a bird.
Or on very rare occasions up nearer to Shirley, or up...
That's another part of Southampton, not a lady.
Or up the top of Portswood. And you'd go there the once, and you wouldn't know any of the streets, and it'd be later on it'd normally be early evening, and so you wouldn't memorise. So really, you'd only know the little bit of town.
Yeah.
Now, I get to see all this and have this thrown into really sharp relief by Amy's experience of town.
Okay.
Because by the time... after I moved out of St Mary's, we started moving around to lots of different... So I started to get a sense of how all these different parts of town fit together a little bit more, and that's when I became really properly... It wasn't until I had a dog that I really became aware of the common and started using the common properly. I knew where it was, but didn't go there very often. We weren't big on going and throwing frisbees. Maybe I might have gone there once when I was off my face on drugs with some friends, but you don't really remember it. Maybe. I remember once a friend of mine who actually was from Winchester, but had gone to school. There's a school on Hill Lane. Is there a boys' school?
No, it's a private school, but it's St Edward's, the potato school.
Oh yeah, okay. And he went there, and I think most of the King Edward's. I think most of the Winchester guys I knew then ended up going there, and they were quite well to do. And
it'd have to be. It's very expensive.
We were once a little bit off our faces with him. This was only my second or third year. And he took us on this trek, this really long trek, and he was telling this story. He was quite a good raconteur, and he was telling us this story, and he was like, we've gone looking for this place. And he led us on this really merry route through the wooded areas. We went off the path and started going through these wooded areas.
There's parts of the common you feel like you could be in a forest.
It's peculiar.
It's arboreal.
Yes. And so he took us down this route. And eventually we got to this point, and it was a bit spooky. We felt like we were a very long way away from the path. And then he said, "Yeah, it was here. This is where we met that guy." And he said that if we brought some friends here, then we'd be allowed off the. He basically spun it into this spooky story, and it was a little bit. We were in our early 20s, so we weren't completely taken in, but it was a little bit creepy. But now that I walk the dogs around there, I'm like. We must literally have been 2 minutes into the thick. We can't have been that far away from a path at any time.
You're never further than a minute away from the path.
No.
Wherever you go in Southampton Common.
But at the time, and maybe because he'd very cleverly taken us around lots of inner bits, but at the time, it seemed like this huge, vast, mysterious place, and then you walk around it with your dogs for a few years, and suddenly you realise it's just a really nice big park, isn't it?
It's a big park. Yeah. And by London, it's not a big London park.
No, I probably like it a bit better than those London parks, though.
Well, I think I've said this on the podcast before, but apparently it's the largest green space outside of London in the south of England. So it's in a city.
Yeah, you have to include those caveats. Yeah. It doesn't work.
I think the New Forest is bigger than the Common.
We're surrounded. One of the nice things. Yeah, one of the nice things about Southampton is we're surrounded by a sea of green.
Well, the joke is,
but also a sea of blue.
The joke is Southampton. The best thing about Southampton is how easy it is to get out of it.
Yeah, is that a thing? I've never heard that.
No, that's really a thing.
I'm not sure what my point was.
I don't know how many people who live here actually like it.
Southampton.
You very rarely hear people go, "I really love Southampton. I'm so glad my life's brought me here."
I know that there's probably at least one listener who's saying, well, if you don't like it, why do you still live there?
Because I'm economically locked into living here.
I think we are, and it's like I said about how if you're not majorly upwardly mobile, you'll normally stay in roughly if you're not suddenly getting an injection of money, then you'll stay in roughly the same geographic location.
Well,
it's like that on a bigger scale, isn't it?
My family and friends network is here. I might not like the city, but I'm very fond of my family and my friends.
Yeah, you have to give up quite a lot. And unless there's a specific job that you're moving for, it's very difficult to...
I hate it when people so glibly write off people's discontent with where they live. I'd like it to be better, and I'd happily join in an attempt to make it better. I'm part of a podcasting artistic artisan community.
Yeah, in Southampton. I think we are about a third, maybe 2/3 of all of the podcasts.
We're 2/3 of all of the culture in Southampton.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah.
But we're working on taking over that extra third. That's not what's happening.
Are we?
No, I don't think we are. I don't. I agree. I think part of the thing of staying in one place for long enough is that you get to. It's like a warts and all kind of thing. I didn't complain this much about Southampton in the first 10 years I was here. That's because I didn't think I was going to stay. But you start to care more about a place when it looks like you're in it for the long haul, don't you?
Perspective's a strange thing, isn't it? Did you see that thing that came out this week about the best towns in the UK to live in?
No.
So, like, the best places to live, and one of them was a place near Fleet in Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in the top 5 was Winchester.
Right.
Which is the city that I lived in until I was 28? 28 maybe? No, 26. I think I left Winchester. So I was born there and brought up there. And I lived on, I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, so apologies if I'm repeating myself, but I lived on one of the council estates that ring the city. So you have Stanmore, which was a large council estate. They're all built roughly in the 20s. They're part of a sort of, I know Winchester was like an experimental community at the time to put poor people in.
All right.
But it was always where it kind of has the feel of a village about it in some ways, but a village that's a bit shitty because the people who live there are quite poor.
The estates.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Kinda. You know, there's like the central shops and there's a few green spaces. You know, trees on the side of the roads and so forth. So it would be pretty if it'd been looked after. By the time the 70s and 80s rolled in, it was looking pretty shabby, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So you've got Stanmore, you've got Winnell, and you've got Highcliffe, with the 3 sort of major. We used to, I hate you because you come from Winnell.
Yeah.
Oh, but I find it really. I find it strange when I go back to Winchester because it was always quite a wealthy city. So you have like these sort of estates on the outside. When I first, it's a little bit different now because of development. But you had these estates on the outside, and you always had to pass through the wealthy parts of Winchester, which, like the inner city of Winchester, is wealthy. It's kind of reversed to a big city, which is strange. But even now, when I go back, I find that it's been gentrified, even from the Winchester that I remember. You know, like the best chip shop in Winchester is now a Raymond Blanc brasserie. For example, and there's lots of when we were kids, it was all the high street was all. It was a joke in the town that it's all card shops and banks, and that's literally virtually all the high street was. There was like half a dozen card shops and about the same in banks again, and a few other sort of. Now there's sort of it's become quite diverse, and it's weird. It looks like a lovely place to live now. They've really made an effort. Like it's like a go-to destination at Christmas for the Christmas market, and it's really cleaned up its act. So I found it really weird that it was always this posh city that I felt out of sync with. But now it's got to the point where it's nice, but I still feel so out of sync because it doesn't resemble the feel of the city that I grew up in. It's very strange. But apparently it's one of the best 5 cities in the country to live in, according to this. If you've got money. I still imagine, I know for a fact living on Stanmore was miserable because, of course, everyone bought their council house, sold it, landlords bought their council houses, and now roughly 50% of the population are students who seem to spend most of their time pissing off the people who attract them.
Yeah, which I guess is happening everywhere in...
you walk through parts of Southampton where that definitely happens.
But Winchester was very... It was very weird because I only went there to visit friends who were or go to house parties when one of their parents went away. There was a guy who I shared a house with, and whenever his parents were away, we'd go and have a house party, and
Yeah.
actually Alex, who guested on one of the very early episodes of this, Alex Dawson, that's where I met him. I think we met at one of his parties. Some of my fondest memories of him and those parties are kind of tied up in each other. So it's kind of a debauched time, but I didn't have a chip on my shoulder about people with more money, and certainly they were kind of mainly just young. Sort of, they had a little bit more freedom than I felt I'd had, and their stories of growing up were quite different from mine. But I didn't really have a particular chip on my shoulder about class tourists at that point. That happened later when I was a little bit later when I was sharing a house with some crusties whose parents are supporting them from the Isle of Wight, and they were also signing on as well.
We used to manage to leverage that quite nicely. There were an awful lot, obviously, back when we bump into various crusty types. At the time, my sort of coming of age, my blooming, my flowering, sort of 15 upwards for a few years, was when they were making the M3 extension. Which you probably won't remember now, but it was one of the early sort of in the era of road protests.
Newbury Bypass? No,
that's at Newbury.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Newbury Bypass was really centred around Newbury, which is north of Winchester, about 60 miles north of Winchester.
Yeah, I said anything. I'm sorry.
Silly Billy. So there were a lot of there were road protests at the time. It was really bizarre, actually. The M3. Here's some interesting road facts, guys. But it was weird.
It's like proper man stuff.
No, but it was weird in so much as you had this motorway, this arterial motorway, that essentially connecting Southampton and the south of England to London. And at Winchester, there was a set of traffic lights. Hockley, it was called. So there was clearly needed something done to it, but the crusties didn't like it, so they came into town. At which point, ecstasy and marijuana became freely available. So that was a really good time to be young, because you just go up and see the hippies, but they were all posh.
Yeah, well, I mean that's, and the thing is, I think growing up, I might have talked about the guy I looked up to in the sixth form, who was a year above me in the sixth form, who used to work in the record shop, and Mark Nixon, who I've recently started talking to online again. But I think the people who owned the record shop he was at, I think they were they had a nice, went to a couple of parties at their house, they had a nice big rambling house and stuff like that. But my experiences generally of more bohemian people were older, more bohemian people, were generally a bit pretentious, but generally quite nice. Now that I know a bit more about hippies, I think there was probably stuff I was missing. But then the guys who were my age, who were crusties, the ones that I experienced and kept experiencing, and I find this about most of the really bohemian guys, especially that are my age, were, they had the luxury of behaving however the hell they wanted, because they didn't have to worry about income and stuff like that. But my initial experience of Winchester was very much like I didn't have a chip on my shoulder, but it did seem like a really rarefied place. I used to go there for house parties, but also for the big fireworks display once a year. And because I was only ever visiting friends with nice big houses on nice little quiet estates, and those, again, like I was saying about where you end up living, we'd get a lift, so you'd go straight from Southampton to this nice little... I didn't even know that there were poor people or council estates or anything there until much later on. And it did always feel kind of like a very out-of-reach, exotic place. It was like, we get to go and visit this guy's house and have parties there when his parents aren't around. But I'm never going to see this with the natural inhabitants in it, because we wouldn't be here when his parents are around.
See, that's the thing. That's why I think, because I have got a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah.
I think part of it is as you start to explore the world. I'm a bit shabby and I'm a bit common. And you tell people that you come from Winchester, and they assume you must be posh and you're putting it on. So I have to kind of defend myself and go, no, I am common. I just lived in a town where there's lots of people who aren't.
We moved around so much, and we had... Amy and I were talking about this the other day. I can't remember who it was. Some celebrity or someone was talking about how Sam Neill was on some Sunday morning kitchen thing.
He's had a funny career, hasn't he?
Yeah, but
he's eclectic.
Yeah, and he was talking about that, but he was clearly a bit uncomfortable with talking about himself anyway. He's one of those, some actors and performers love talking about themselves, and others, the ones who are kind of... I think some people go into acting to be very... Look at me, because they're really hungry for attention, and others go into it to disappear into other people, if that makes sense. And I think that's kind of maybe his thing a little bit.
I don't trust the narcissism of people who want to sit around and talk about themselves all the time. Release it to the world.
Yeah, it is a bit weird.
Once a week's bad enough, but twice, Nick. Come on.
But he was talking about how, because his parents were in the forces, somehow, he was moving around a lot, so he thinks that the acting thing partly came out of always having to work out what the lay of the land was, and having to get to know new people in every new place and work out how. And I said to Amy, maybe that's why my personality is a little bit, because we moved around a bit. And she said, "You didn't move around as much as a Forces family, did you, Nick?" And I was like, "Well, that's what a wife's for. It's to keep you down to earth, isn't it?" Yes. She slammed me back down into my chair.
That is what a wife's for. Although you were around last night, Nicola does that constantly to me. It's quite funny.
Yeah, she's constantly trying to stifle you talking about your sex life in front of me. I don't know what that's all about, Nicola. Way to be a prude.
It did get
Poor Nicola.
It did get a bit silly and inappropriate. You watched my new favourite programme last night. Getting
Dug with High. Listeners of this show and of We Have Issues might have heard of it before. Getting Dug with High.
I really can't stop watching it now. I am locked into Getting Dug with High. It is my favourite programme. You watched a couple of...
I watched a couple.
We were talking through most of it.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I think that I probably couldn't watch that many of them.
No.
Because it's very much about... It's not like a Sunday Kitchen where he's doing the cooking, but he's talking to people about their lives and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very much talking to people about their lives with... It's antics. It's stoned antics.
Yes.
And that's kind of fun, but the narrative through line, as far as the story circle is concerned, I'm not sure where everyone's starting and everyone's finished. That's a coy meta reference to the fact that Dan Harmon was on the two I watched, because he loves his story circle.
Yeah.
I think he was probably sitting there thinking, I'm not sure what my story circle is in.
And waggling his feet about.
He was waggling. I'm doing it a bit now as well, like Ronnie Corbett. Or they refer to Lily Tomlin, but it's something we think of as a Ronnie Corbett thing, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but I get the Lily Tomlin.
Yeah. But but no, I enjoyed it fine. They're all nice. I liked the guests more than I liked the presenter, the host.
That's no bad thing. I quite like Doug Benson, but it's no bad thing. I like the guests on that one.
And I appreciated at the time. I thought you were being a bit silly and oversensitive about the fancying Sarah Silverman thing. But now, in the cold light of day, you were like, "Oh, should I be objectifying her?" Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, you can't help it. That's just how she is talented, but she's also attractive." Yeah. But now I'm thinking she is talented.
Yeah.
But is it diminishing how talented she is for me to think that I really liked her in those little shorts, sitting on that chair with her legs out?
I hate to say it, she was wearing short shorts.
Oh, she's lovely. I love Sarah Silverman.
She's very funny.
Very precise.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But in a way that makes everything she does look completely random chaos.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of it really is.
But Getting Dug with High is part of the VPN network, the Video Podcast Network, on which sits Jash,
Yes.
which is Reggie Watts and Sarah Silverman, which I've discovered through Getting Dug with High. There's loads of very funny Reggie Watts stuff.
Although I did play you a couple of things you hadn't seen before.
Yeah, I haven't watched it all. I didn't claim I'd seen it all.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that,
Don't prick my pomposity.
if I mention it now, I can put it in the show notes. See?
Okay, go.
I think. No, you don't like OK Go because they're hipsters.
We had that discussion last night. Apparently, it was a surprise that OK Go are a blind spot for me. But I don't think their music stacks up with their videos.
The music doesn't stack up with their videos. But their music's fine. It isn't annoying. It isn't distracting from the videos. It's perfectly okay.
They did a weird version of the Muppet Show theme for the Green album, and it's definitely the stinkiest. I like the My Morning Jacket song.
The video.
My Morning Jacket is an act I should like more than I do, I think.
The video to the OK Go Muppet thing is just fun. But I think that's definitely one of those places where they're, because normally their music's okay and the videos really pick up on the beats in the music, but the video's something in its own right, and it's.
But all the videos, all of them, feature cans of paint swinging from a very long piece of string and splashing out all over treadmills that they're dancing on.
No,
that is all of their albums. Songs.
3 of their videos feature those things.
Well,
one of their videos has loads of trained dogs in it. It's so fun. But the Muppet Show, the version of the Muppet Show song they do, I think, doesn't really stand alone apart from the video. Whereas, and I think,
and given that I've only listened to it, the only conclusion I can make is it's a shit version of the Muppet shows. I don't like OK Go. I've got a real bug up my arse about OK Go.
Okay, I understand.
Okay,
that's fine.
Go
on.
Yeah, I like the Go team though.
I like Go team. Yeah. Well, probably one of the last proper gigs I saw before Amy and I met each other. An old colleague of mine took me to it because I was very skint, and so she took me to see them because she knew I. So I went with her and a partner.
I can't remember if I've seen them live or not.
They played one of their last, I think, during their last round of live performances. I think they played at the Southampton University Student Union.
Oh yeah.
And it was pretty.
I was going to see them at the Union. I couldn't make it.
It was pretty amazing, and I was at a low ebb at that point. Yeah. But my low ebb, and one of my friends at my old job, who was a very nice lady who looked after me quite a lot. Quite fancied her actually, but she took me to.
What a woman that showed you kindness.
Well, she's a red-headed lady, and she's a few years older than me, and very forthright, which are all things that appeal to me. And also at the same time, when I was feeling particularly low about a breakup I'd gone through, we went out for a drink and a meal, and were just hanging out. And after a couple of glasses of wine,
she gave you a blowjob in the toilets.
No, but she did tell me that if she was single, we were just talking about like relationships and attraction, and she said, kind of out of the blue, well, if I was single, I'd definitely fuck you.
So now what?
And so that stuck in my head after that. I never really shook that off. Well, it was what I needed to hear at that particular point in time.
Surely what you needed to hear was, let's go and fuck.
No, you see...
What about you? You haven't listened to the Teachers of Peaches, have you?
Yes.
Well then...
I think that... We discovered last night that... We discovered a lot of things when I visited your house. We were going to record... It was a really nice night. We were going to record a podcast. I was worried that, as well, we ended up not recording a podcast And I was worried that maybe we used up everything. We'd maybe talk ourselves out. But we seem to be doing all right.
It was a great podcast. I'm really sorry you missed it. We did some great topics.
And we did lots of great topics.
I made some good comments.
Yeah. Oh, bless you. But we established last night that you and I see masturbation and sex and mainly you're talking about it from a practical perspective. Like, if you masturbate, that leaves less sexual energy or juices or like actual genetic material to then have sex with later on.
Yeah.
Is that right? Whereas in my head, the two things are so completely unrelated to each other. And for me, especially at that point when I wasn't feeling very good about myself, with me, I have had lots of very good sex.
Good for you.
But I've had lots of it in which I drastically underperformed. Most of my early, especially the couple of one-night stands I had when I was younger with girls that I really, really was attracted to. They weren't random people I met. They were people I did quite fancy, and I ended up they were disastrous and almost entirely disastrous from my side of things. And so actually in my head, no, her saying that she found me that attractive, even if now that I think about it, I'm concerned that maybe I was angling for it, but I don't think I was. Her saying that was way more valuable to me than a probably stressful, because if it had become an actual thing, and it had become one of those disastrous things, that'd be what I was stuck with.
Do
you see what I mean? The potential of it is way better than what the actual thing would be.
I understand now. Through me saying I don't understand something, and then you taking the time to break it down and explain it to me, I now have a better understanding of how you could have been in that frame of mind than I did prior to you telling me that. So that's good. I feel like I've grown and I've learned something.
I feel like
you have too, listener.
I feel like you're getting to something there. Everything you just said, I feel like there might be something meaningful and valuable in there. So what you're saying is that people can not understand each other, but just by talking a little bit and then talking a little bit, talking to each other, not just at each other. One person says something, the other person responds, the first person listens, and communication and understanding, ideas can be transmitted between the two people.
I'm sorry.
And they can have a deeper understanding of each other.
I'm finding you a very unpleasant person right now. So I can't really continue with this train of thought.
That is a not fair callback because I can't. I'm not allowed to follow it through.
That was part of the podcast you didn't listen to last night. So it's amazing that we spent. You came over about 6.
Yeah.
Finally got rid of you 11. You ate a lot of food as well. I was quite impressed.
I did. I didn't feel great.
You had 3 helpings of spaghetti bolognese, and I thought after you had the second massive helping, I thought that's all right. The rest will do me for lunch tomorrow. No, Nick finished up the portion I was going to have for lunch.
Only because you said it was okay to.
It was, but inside didn't mean it at all.
Oh, I'm sorry. You should have been more clear.
Yeah, I should have.
You should have used your outside.
What you should know is fine.
I didn't understand what you were saying.
We just, So
if you, you should have.
No, I understand. I like it. One of my things is I like inviting people over. I like them to eat because I like the compliments.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good about myself.
And you're a feeder.
Yes, I am a feeder.
You're very much a feeder, so it's kind of it's like maybe you're sublimating your desire to eat by watching me eat. You're like living vicariously through my bad relationship with food.
Whatever.
No?
I don't know.
I've got a really bad relationship with food.
You really overthink things, Nick.
The food was where you cannot start using this podcast as a way of passive aggressively getting at your wife. That's not fair.
Why, Nick? Why does everything have to have a label? Why do we have to use that term? Why can't we just accept that sometimes people are shitty with people, they want to pretend they're not, so they try and dress up their shitty comments with a pretty dress, and then we just ignore it, call it shitty pretty dress sayings, And then...
What's it? Nicey nasty?
Nasty talk, and then we can't... Why do we need labels? I don't need to know what this thing I'm leaning on is. It's probably a table, but it doesn't matter.
Who needs tables?
Yeah, who needs tables?
Tables and labels.
Why does it all have to be so complicated, Nick?
I don't know.
Why, oh why?
Yeah, acting like somebody else, it makes me frustrated.
I wish Nicola was here for some of our podcasts, because that was my favourite moment of the night last night, when Nicola asked why everything had to have a label, she hates passive aggression. And we had a really good conversation about that later in the night. So the reason you hate it is because our relationship was, I was undiagnosed with my depression at the time.
Yeah.
Nicola had sleep apnea, which meant she was sleeping terribly.
Yeah.
So she was ill, I was ill, we'd been shit with each other all the time, and a lot of the time it manifested itself in passive-aggressive behaviour, which I would call her out on. So the reason that she hates it, we'll discuss this, the reason she hates the phrase passive-aggressive is because it reminds her of a time in our relationship when things were really difficult, you know?
And presumably your way of reacting to passive aggression is a kind of actual direct...
No, I like to see your passive aggression and raise you mine.
Were you being passive aggressive back, or were you being aggressive back? And by aggressive, I don't. Yeah, you see, I think that is a dynamic that's really similar in mine and Amy's relationship.
Our relationship's better now.
Mine and Amy's probably the passive aggressive, like she'll say things in a generally much less direct way, but it'll be clear to me what she's getting at. And, you know, this isn't just me imagining it, it will be that she's normally getting at something a little bit deeper. And I'll get frustrated that she isn't communicating a bit more directly, but also get, frustrated with what she's saying. I think we've talked about this before, though, as well. I have a really long fuse for things that irritate me. She has a really short fuse for things that irritate her. But her irritation burns a lot lower, less hot than my irritation.
Oh, God, yeah.
So she'll be irritated quite a lot, and will be. And so it's possible that the reason her aggression is passive, maybe the reason she's passive aggressive in Amy's case, isn't that she's deliberately being. Because there's something a bit, it's not deceitful, but there's something, and it's not that it's dishonest, but you're masking your true meaning with.
Yeah.
It feels like, well, we've been, in our case, we've been with each other for 7 or 8 years. We're grown-ups, we should just be able to talk to each other.
You're chocolate-coating shit.
Yeah. Which means you're tricking me into eating shit, which is not if I'm going to be eating shit, I'd rather I just knew that was what was on the menu.
And the government doesn't want us to be pissed on, and it doesn't want us to be shitted on.
No, or shitted in.
No. So, don't do it, people.
Yeah. And don't dress it up in a dress. Don't dress it up as nicey nasty.
Leave it to the...
Sweet dressy...
Yeah.
What was it?
I don't know. Leave it to the Germans.
Yeah.
I say. They've got a word for the word for it over there.
Schadenfreude.
No. Passive and aggressive.
Oh, okay. Passive and aggressive. They've got lots of good words for things that we don't have words for.
Yeah, but really long, complicated words, though, isn't it?
It is.
I've got words for things I'm not sure need. What's their word for Schadenfreude?
I think we've talked about it before, but Schadenfreude is the weirdest thing in the world. Is that they've got a word for that and we don't have a word for that because it's such an English characteristic or British characteristic, isn't it? Schadenfreude.
Well, we've got
maybe they coined it to take the piss out of us.
We've got 300 words for rain, though, haven't we?
That's true. There's rain, drizzle, drain, pissle, piss, peeing it down. It's peeing it down. That's 3 words though.
Shizzle.
Shizzle for shizzle rizzle.
Yeah. I was rocking a bit of that with you last night. It was good.
We were on fucking fire. It was way better than this conversation.
It was. This is. I feel really bad. I feel like we're shortchanging everyone really. I wish I had a series of hidden recording devices around my flat now.
Yeah,
not just in my bedroom.
That's. Wait, do you have an audio recorder in there?
Do you know, I got really paranoid because we, a while ago, the other podcast that we killed, we bought a Yeti mic, which we're recording on a Yeti mic now.
Yes, it's exactly the same sort of mic.
It's similar, And I had it set up. My computer is set up in my bedroom. Did I tell you about this? And our friends put their baby down to sleep now if they come down and visit.
Oh, and they see the recording.
Yeah, I got really paranoid. They thought I was recording their kid.
Well, did you over-explain it to them?
I don't think I
Because
mentioned it.
I would have done. I'd have said that this is my major malfunction. Whereas I think with you, when you feel awkward, you tend to clam up. In my case, I have exactly the opposite reaction, and they wouldn't have noticed the mic, and I'd have come out and said, "I'm not recording your child for any sort of nefarious purposes."
Yeah.
That's just and that would then become a thing.
No, luckily I noticed after they left, and we see them sort of maybe once a month at the very most, but usually maybe bi-monthly or tri-monthly. So luckily by the time we saw them next time.
Is bi-monthly twice in the same month?
No, it's every
2 months. Okay, right. Okay. The reason I asked if you had audio recording devices in there is I've only been able to find the video feed without sound on the internet.
Oh, right, no.
So I see you guys. I know where the conversations end up, but I don't know how the conversations went to begin with.
That's a premium upgrade.
Right. Oh, see, I haven't. You haven't given me your Patreon address.
No, I should set one up.
The room we're in, listener, I may have a bit of trouble isolating that. If James and I just stop talking for just a second. That noise. There's a noise. It's a fan noise. I might not be able to isolate it. And we've got this giant screen, unnecessarily big screen, that James and I can both see our sound waves on.
I can't normally see the sound waves, and it's really distracting me, because I also know exactly how long we've been recording for as well.
Yes.
So I'm getting close to the point where I say, tell them, Steve, Dave.
That's a podcast reference. Podcasts are in at the moment.
No, Serial's finished, so that's it. Podcasts have had their day.
Well,
we should do a video podcast. That seems to be what all the trendy kids are doing.
But then that's a vodcast.
We're both so ugly, though. Well,
that hasn't really stopped any of the people on. Only really Sarah Silverman was. Yeah, exactly. But
bless him though. He's a notorious stoner, and Nick wanted to know what was wrong with his eye. He's stoned all the time. That's what's wrong with his eyes.
I just feel like video podcasts are a different thing, you know. I don't know. But yeah,
do you think there's a third dimension to the performance?
The thing about Serial is that
it's nice with milk.
Is that it has given lots of people. Basically, the good thing about this being the time of podcasts right now. Yeah. So the whole thing with Ricky Gervais a few years ago, that was a misstep.
Is that a false dawn?
Yeah, I think so. So we're in the dawn of. So what that means is that now, I mean you as well. I'm in the position of because podcasts are in now. Everyone's doing their top 10 podcasts of the year. So something I'm doing creatively gets to be left off top 10s. There weren't top 10s podcasts before.
Rightly.
What? Rightly
left off.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know, the thing about Gervais though was the thing is his model wasn't workable in the end because he ended up with the 69p podcast, didn't he?
Yeah. And
I don't think that any podcasters other than Ricky Gervais necessarily have the traction to charge 69p for a podcast. So I think it's taken this long for people who are good at it to work out how to make money out of it.
It's fine when there's only one or two people and they're famous doing it. But yeah, you're right that
because advertising is a lot more prevalent in podcasts now than it was. Talking of which, this week's show is brought to you by Loot Crate. Please send me some free Loot Crates. Loot Crate, the crate that has loot in it.
Can you explain to me a little bit about Loot Crate?
Yeah, well, Loot Crate's a subscription service, Nick, where you sign up and give them your address, and they'll send you a mystery box of geek stuff every month for only $500.
$500 a month?
A month. But there's at least $350 worth of merchandise in each box, so it's a great deal. Loot Crate. Please send me a Loot Crate.
I just wanted
Groot for my daughter.
I just wanted to Groot. I am Groot.
Blam! I murdered you.
The room we're in, James. I don't know if you noticed, but it's
yellow.
This is a meeting room that we tend to have at work that we tend to have our little meetings in. It's right opposite across the corridor from where my office is. But to get to this has a little shared porch with a counselling room.
Which is where I thought we were going. Yeah,
so you can't, that would have been more apt. We should have, because I think there's a nice comfy chair in there, and you always, whenever you walk past a door with a glass bit in, the tendency, I think, for most people is to glance in that direction. And you always, whenever you come in here, if there's someone in there, it's supposed to be private.
Yeah.
So, because it's proper counselling. So I thought that, like...
Oh, not just a pretend sort. What the sort I'm taking?
Is that
what you're saying?
No, the sort you're taking is proper counselling.
My counsellor had really uncomfortable chairs.
So anyway, that's that segment. Can we just quickly talk about... I want to talk to you about Audible. Have you heard about Audible?
Yes, I love Audible. It's excellent. Audible. Audio wherever you are.
I don't know if you... Because I know that, like, we'd all like to read more. Obviously, we'd all like to read more. I just spat on you a little bit, sorry. I can see the result of the spittle. It's formed a little... It's slowly dissolving into the fibres of my hoodie. Please don't get murdered on the way home, because they'll find that'll be DNA evidence.
Yeah, well, after last night I've got that all over. I haven't washed my junk since.
The one thing that and no spoilers, but the one thing I really learned from listening to all of Serial, because I loved it, but the one thing I really learned, two things. One I already knew, which is people are really value their time. Like, they watch... it's difficult to imagine there was once a time when people just used to tune into Magnum P.I. once a week for 40 minutes and Knight Rider once a week for 40 minutes.
There's a new Magnum cast out, by the way. I haven't listened to it, but that's always a good thing.
They just finished their first season, didn't they? The first season of the show, I think.
I haven't listened to it.
Oh.
I already said I hadn't listened to it, and then you put me on the spot.
Sorry.
About
they were tweeting about it. So,
I don't see every tweet.
So
no one tweeted back about my smug onions yesterday.
So the one thing...
Smunions.
The one thing... Yeah, so it's hard to imagine there was once a time when people just used to tune in and watch a 20-minute show or a 40-minute show, or listen to something and go...
An album, which is about 40 minutes generally.
While they were doing something else.
Yeah.
Like TV and radio and podcasts, because they're like free at point of like you getting them. Nick,
you're getting too technical for me. You're going to have to step down a bit, break it down a bit.
But like, and then the serial, I think, was 10 episodes or 12 episodes. They vary between, I think, 40 and 40 minutes an hour.
I'm going to say yes.
You download each one to your phone, so there's a tiny little bit of bandwidth, but then you choose whether to listen to it or not. And seeing people go so quickly now, it's like it used to be you'd watch a couple of seasons of a show before people would be desperate to talk about it, jumping the shark and going, oh, this one was a bit of a waste of time and stuff. But people have got it down to like 3 or 4 episodes now. It's really impressive. We're saving a lot of time on our disdain for things.
They must be flying through a galaxy on the back of a shark with a unicorn horn.
We are, but I think once you've got the unicorn in there, it's like you've gone back around.
I suppose so.
And the whole thing is about jumping the shark, and that's your thing. So I think we're okay. But so there's that, and also the other thing I learned from Serial, and I kind of already knew this, but listening to a show that digs into so much detail about it is that because for anyone who doesn't know, it's about a murder investigation. There is a man who's been in prison for the last, I think, 15 years or something, and it's kind of looking into how likely it was that he did it, and they do interview him and stuff, is that whether he did it or not, the thing I really learnt from it, and it was something I'd kind of been aware of, was you really don't want to be accused of a murder to the extent that they put you in prison.
No.
Because, like, and if you are, you want to make sure you're guilty. Because it's really, really, especially if you've got a bad memory like I have, it is really difficult to prove that you didn't do something if there seems to be circumstantial evidence that you did.
My memory's worse than yours, so I mean, it's the main reason I never leave the house.
It's like, where were you on the night of... Well, I don't know where I was. To be honest, I know where I was last night because I went out of the house, but most nights, I don't know.
I can't really very clearly remember the journey I made to get here.
No. No, that's because I put a blindfold on you as soon as you came into the building and started walking you down lots of different...
Yeah, I felt quite anxious.
So anyway, everyone's very busy. We know everyone's very busy, even though they want to read. So Audible's the solution for that. You can, it's basically, they get stars. They get really famous people.
Stephen Fry.
And other good people. They to read out their own books or other people's books. They're like dramatized, it's like almost dramatized versions of things. And today we can offer you a free download from Audible, only available to people in the US, I'm afraid, to listeners in the US. To get your free download, what you need to do is listen to a different podcast. Probably doesn't matter which one. Just cast your net, you'll find one, and use their offer code to get free.
Or alternatively, navigate to the Pirate Bay /2GM and just type in any podcast or audio that you wish to listen to. Probably be there. Don't type in the 2GM bit because it won't work.
More on the subject, what if you've got to your computer and you've opened up your browser, you know that much, you've opened up your browser, but then you don't know, where do I go to Google? Do I type stuff in there? Or how do I find websites? Somebody's given me a URL, I don't know what a URL is. Well, if you've got any training needs like that, you need lynda.com. Lynda.com has video tutorials and transcripts of all of those tutorials to show you how to do all of the basic stuff and some more complicated stuff in a really easy, idiot-proof guide format.
Nick.
Yes.
Do you like nuts?
I do.
Do you like to put them in your mouth?
I really do. I had some nuts earlier.
Really?
Yeah.
Were they from a Graze box?
No, they weren't. We're not allowed to get Graze boxes delivered to work anymore.
All right. Well, you should get one because they put nuts in your mouth. Graze box. Put some nuts in your mouth.
So anyway,
Graze box and Loot Crate. Oh, please listen! I want a free Loot Crate.
The other thing I realised...
It's 6 years of podcasting, and this is the point where I break down and start begging for stuff. It's been my long game all along. You on the previous podcast that we killed, the Momcast, you fiercely reacted against anything as sincere as like cross promotion or anything like that. Nick,
you get very uncomfortable.
You of all people should know that is a character I play on that.
All right.
On that podcast. It's acting.
Oh, okay. The other thing I learned last night, after years now of listening to Harmontown the podcast, and never really, I've seen pictures of Dan Harmon. I love Dan Harmon. I've seen pictures of Dan Harmon. I've never actually seen him on camera, and he was in those two episodes of Getting Dug with High, and we talked a little bit before about how I love Adam Buxton. But at the same time, in the back of my head, I like there's not in a few of the double acts I enjoy. There's like a shorter, slightly more intensely angry and neurotic, beardy guy, and I can't help but identify a little bit with that kind of. I'm already halfway there. I'm short and I've got the beard and sort of I kind of think, well, maybe I'm the Adam Buxton, maybe I'm the Anthony Carboni of those like good looking kids. Like they're a bit intense and difficult, but like they're actually there's a genius behind there. No. And I was watching Dan Harmon's. He's a bit schlubby, but I knew that anyway, and he'd admit that, and I already knew he was a little bit self-loathing, but the amount of physical mannerisms when he's on camera and not on his own stage,
and when he's super stoned.
Well, yeah, that's true. That I actually have are just, it's the amount he crosses. He does that arm crossing thing that like. It isn't. I'm doing it to show James now. It's like
Nick is essentially hanging the buffalo stance.
It's not like arms crossed in a confident way that somebody might do consciously. It's that kind of holding yourself and the nervous energy with his legs And at times I noticed he was kind of like scratching the... There's a moment in the American Splendor movie where Harvey Pekar meets his the woman who's going to become his wife face to face for the first time, and she's talking to him about how she sort of talks about how she didn't know what to expect because he's drawn in different ways, and so she looks around the train station or whatever. I think it's a train station, and she sees 2 or 3 different animated versions of him as if done by different artists, and I think it's the Robert Crumb version of him. I'm not sure. He looks kind of like not grotesque, but just like kind of sunk into himself a little bit, and he's scratching his head nervously.
He's a deflated human being.
And the couple of times we've done video, like when we did the pot noodle pepperoni thing, I've seen myself in video.
Happy days.
And then seeing Dan Harmon, I'm like, shit, that's just... These are probably the characteristics that he's not really very happy with. And those are the ones that I'm not charming at all.
Well, I don't know. I find you quite charming.
So twitchy.
Well, I find all sorts of things charming.
How do people not notice that I'm this twitchy?
Oh, everyone notices.
Oh, they do? Oh, good. Well, that's a relief.
Tell them, Steve, Dave.
The time's completely wrong on that, isn't it?
It is, but up the top.
We've been going for 1 hour and 6 minutes.
That's about par for the course.
I think it was all fucking gold, though. You've got to leave all of that in.
Lucky you. Happy Christmas, listener.
We didn't talk about Christmas at all. Have you done everything you need to?
Yeah, we're on top of it. I'm having a great Christmas. We've done everything we need to, and now we're just like seeing friends. It's lovely. We had some of Nicola's friends over during the day on Sunday. You were over yesterday. Our friends Paul and Hayley. We're seeing Jane from the Mom Cart by the We Have Issues podcast, and her life partner Steve tomorrow. Seeing a bit of family. It's the nice part of Christmas now when you're seeing people and having a nice time. I like it.
I'm a little bit worried about Christmas because we've had 2 preemptive Christmases already, and Noah was a little bit... He was okay, but a little bit under the weather for the first one. He was really ill and grumpy for the second one on Saturday. But he and Amy are away at the moment, and I'm hoping he'll feel better for actual Christmas, because he's still at the age where it's all a bit of a... Doesn't really get it. Yeah. But like if he's...
But he reacts to stuff. He's at that nice age now where he's reacting to stuff when he opens it, so that's cool.
But if he's sad as well, it's just going to be the worst thing. It's horrible when they're ill. Scarlett's not very well at the moment.
No, she's as ill as we've seen her. I think a year and a half ago she had mumps. That's the last time she's been like this, but she seems so much older and more self-aware. So actually, she was in mine and Nicola's bed when I left today for the... She hasn't really got up and... Because she's at that age now where everything's done at full speed.
Yeah.
She either runs there or she doesn't go there at all. Mm-hmm. It's just sort of... The only thing I've seen her do really is trudge from the sofa to our bed to go and lie down. So fingers crossed it's going to burn through her pretty quickly and she'll be okay for Christmas Day.
We had 10 minutes of hide and seek when I got there yesterday, but then she was very sad.
Yeah, she came down very quickly from it. She was sinking during the day, and I think by the time she went to bed it was pretty clear she was feeling awful.
Yeah, and you were saying that with Noah, he's just totally... It's like they're only reacting to how they feel physically. Mm-hmm. But you were saying that she's old enough now that emotionally she's...
There's an emotional element. She feels sorry for herself.
Yeah.
Which she hasn't done previously.
Well, that's...
She sort of lie there and sort of whimper a little bit, which is sort of, oh, darling, you can't cuddle her because she feels sore from the cold. Oh, bless her. So, yeah, it's nice to get away from that.
I have to...
I genuinely want to rush back. I feel really bad.
It's fine. Amy's away, so I'm going to be wrapping presents tonight if I remember. Well, I mean, I'll fit it in. I'll try to split the 2 out from each other.
I had to masturbate. We ran out of sellotape.
Got to buy some magic tape. It goes clear.
Does it?
Yeah. If you do it properly, it goes clear.
Does it come at a premium?
I might be a bit too OCD to wrap presents, though.
I don't suppose you've got a stationery cupboard you can nick a roll of sellotape for me from around here somewhere, is there?
No.
Oh, that sucks.
Listener, have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
If you can manage it. If you've had a bad year, nobody's going to think any less of you if you just stumble through it like a zombie.
I hope you have a lovely Christmas, and if you don't like it, I hope you have Christmas has as little impact on you as possible.
Yeah. stay safe, and let's be careful out there.
Ho ho ho.
Tell him, Steve, Dave.
Oh, is that the last one?